Welcome everyone to episode 220 of GI Joburg. Yes, we are still in the 200s and we are continuing onwards to 300. Very soon we're going to celebrate an amazing anniversary. Stay tuned. Several years from now. But today it is 220 and I am Robert and I'm joined by my perennial partners.
Yeah, the thorns in your side. It's Steve.
Hey.
It's Paul. Hey.
And we are the unholy triad of GI Joburg.
Oh, absolutely. We
Yo,
trilogy
Joburg, boys.
all over the place. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Rob's coming in hot for a change. What's going on, dude? How's Cape Town treating you?
Cape Town is doing pretty good, I think. The weather's been a bit cooler, which is nice. That kind of gives me a little bit of energy back. Not much, but just enough to kind of like keep on going.
Be dangerous.
I wake up early these days. It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely. 2 p.m. early.
I remember that life. Well. Paul, how are you doing, dude? How's adulting? Have you been able to keep your garden under control? Do you need any more trees?
Any more trees going down?
No, we're good. Celia did a bang-up job on the garden last weekend. It looks amazing. So we don't have to worry about any of that. Everything else has been pretty cool, pretty smooth sailing. I've just been busy as crazy. Like, I know I always say that because it's like, but I have been really busy. And hopefully that's going to chill out by the 22nd of October, which is good news. Because I got some cool stuff to finish off. I got a live stream that I'm planning for my birthday. That'll be next Sunday the next podcast after this one. So we got, I've got some cool stuff planned. It's just, I'm so tied up with work that, I don't even know, my left from my right. But I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm rocking.
I suppose I
new
can speak
toys
to
on
that
the
a little
horizon.
bit.
Yeah.
When you work freelance, you have a very hard time saying no when there's work knocking at the door. So, Paul, am I correct in assuming you've bitten off a little bit more than you can chew comfortably?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, the
I'm
man
like,
is burning a candle at every end.
yeah, sleep is kind of like a luxury right now.
Right on. Well, I don't know what's worse, too little or too much of the good old work. But anyways, thank you for taking time out for us. All right, gents, we have two items on the heavy, emboldened, underlined, embossed, italicized topic list for this evening. We're talking the Robo Mark II Kickstarter, which is the hot news of this week past. The Kickstarter is ongoing. They have 27 more days left in it, so plenty of time to pledge and get some of the exclusive stuff. But it is funded. It's not just a case of the stretch goals being unlocked, of which most of them have already. So this is a runaway success. This campaign is incredible. We're going to get into it a little bit later. For those of you scratching your heads, like, what's a RoboSkull?
What the hell is a RoboSkull?
You've been living under a rock. And the other topic, Paul, do you want to introduce this one?
Yes, I do. So I've had a kind of an interest in the 90s GI Joes as of late. And I mean, as of late, like the last few months. So I've been looking into a lot of the, I'm looking at eBay listings. I'm looking at local listings, all that kind of stuff. I've also recently got two 90s figures, which will be, we'll see when they'll be unveiled. But I've got two of them that are actually carded. And it kind of got me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I was like, well, they're kind of easy to collect because they don't have a lot of cool gear. And that got me thinking, like, wow, what a wasted opportunity. Some of these character sculpts, or some of these sculpts are really, really cool. Like, really cool. Like, I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there are like, have at least one late 90s GI Joe in the back of their heads where they're like, yeah, that guy is really cool. Or that, actually, they were all guys.
Paul, but by late 90s, you mean early 90s, but
Or
late
something.
in the lifespan of ARA. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
And
We
there
gotta
are
watch
some
out, man.
exceptions, surely.
People are gonna hang us
but-
in the comments. They always try to, we gotta mind our P's and Q's. Anyways, and you're absolutely right. Like, 90s figures are easy to collect because oftentimes the weapons are duplicates and easy throwaways. There are very few unique items, and sometimes it's just a helmet, really. And those typically are still attached to the figure. But yes, absolutely. Paul, please continue.
There are a few exceptions to this rule. The first one, and I just want to get some of these out of the way quickly, and I think it's worth mentioning because these are actually really cool toys. So one of the major exceptions I thought was Duke, Star Brigade Duke. That's a late 90s figure that actually comes with some pretty interesting gear. I mean, they could have just made it a firing missile and just be done with it, but they actually went a little bit ahead and gave him some kind of weird kind of gun thing that flaps on him, and then he can hold it under his arm. Like, it's actually a really fun weapon. Like, it's a pretty unique weapon and it stands out. Another one, and Steve, I think you're the one who turned me onto this. I think it was you that turned me onto this in an earlier episode. Is Cobra Commander, with the Star Brigade Cobra Commander with his cool bubble head thing, but also he's got this weird piece of gear which has got these like suction cups, and it just looks like a lot of fun.
Do you?
I do like that. And then another surprise, and one I was totally not expecting, was sci-fi. Star Brigade sci-fi is awesome. I really like what they were trying to do there with it, or with that toy. And so yeah, those are your exceptions. I mean, for the most part. And then the Alley Viper, I suppose, is kind of an exception as well, because it's got a shield, it's got a bit of a unique gun, it's got the helmet and all that. But the rest are all weapons trees. And what I would
actually,
yeah.
Another good exception, where it's Wild Bill kind of role playing old timey cowboy.
Cavalry. Yeah.
Is the cavalry version is from '93, and I suppose maybe there's a version 94. But he like comes with like a proper old time pistol, like a really cool little knife that goes into his backpack. He has the hat. I mean, he's so nice that me and Stephen bought him at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, he's so nice. You bought it twice, times 2.
3 times.
Yeah.
You bought it twice.
A lot.
Twice.
He's so good.
But gents, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are going to get into trying to remedy the very forgettable accessory trees of the early 90s GI Joe. First up, however, anyone got any new toys? I don't, sadly, so this might be a very short round.
Oh my goodness, yeah, me too. I still don't have anything yet. I have been looking at this local dude who has lots of really cool Joes, but like his pricing is so all over the place, at least to me.
Which guy is that, Rob?
He hasn't bought toys since like the literal 90s. Jeez, what was his name again?
Withers Amusements.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
His pricing, it confuses me sometimes, because like even when a figure comes with the packaging, even if the packaging looks like it's been half eaten, as is the case with Countdown, it's the Countdown with original packaging. Ooh. 900 Rand. But without, he'll be like 600 maybe, if he has all these accessories. And I'm like,
it's a bit silly.
You could have just cut that packaging down to the file card. At least it would have looked good. Like, what am I supposed to do? You're mailing me this half-eaten card. It's like someone was like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, I don't have a Countdown, but dog ate it, so that's why I need another one." Thanks. So the pricing on is very confusing to me. So I'm hoping to get past that and kind of find things that are little jewels in the rough, I guess.
Can I assume from that you're wanting a Countdown action figure?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying I looked through all the listings and I was like, okay, on average, obviously the ones that come with the cards will cost more. But this was the one that really stood out to me where I was like, why? Why are you making this more expensive? This card is not really a card. It's just, it's so annoying.
If I may venture as a partial explanation, I think the figures that came with cards, he got in a later deal from one collector.
Okay.
And I think he might have paid a premium because those are all very well kept action figures, all have their accessories. They've been curated. Heinrich, by his own admission, doesn't know a great deal about GI Joe. He's a Motu guy and a Thundercats guy, so he will defer to the experts. In fact, I once went to his shop and just sorted through his loose accessories. I was like, yeah, well, that is a Range Viper's gun, and you haven't got it listed with the action figure. If you want to, bump up the price on your action figure there, you can sell him complete if you just add this into the listing.
Let me fix this for you.
Yeah, exactly. Let me enhance the value of your online store. But anyways, he and I go way back. But as I say, these new items that have popped onto his store are probably items that he paid a little bit more for, because he was like, yeah, this guy takes good care of his collection. It's worth the deal that he's striking. And, basically it removes me from having any kind of responsibility to the buyer, because I can trust this listing to be complete. I don't have to do my research.
That definitely makes sense, and thank you for making it easier for me to, I suppose, continue to consider items from him.
Well, something I want to mention there, and you bring up a good point about the sort of weirdness in the pricing on Withers Amusements. And this is not a criticism of Withers Amusements. It's actually more an observation of South African collectors. You'll notice, like you'll get like Crimson Guards and whatever's for like $900, right? Okay, I mean, and you sort of expect that because it's an older figure. But it's weird how like some of the 90s guys end up, and quite common 90s guys actually go for more than 80s guys that are actually quite difficult to get your hands on. So if you're going through there, have a look. You'll see there are one or two like 90s figures that are like, why is that 700 rand? It's not like, it's not anything special, for example, or like, I don't know. I just saw there was a bit of inconsistency with that. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, his stuff is very good condition, which is great. And for the most part, he does try to sell complete. And I just find that like with his stuff, he gets to a point where it's like, Loose Joe, $200 or $300, and you're like, okay, no problem. Same Joe with gear, $900, and you're like, what?
All right, let's get past this guy.
Anyway,
I mean, he's gotten enough.
But
of
yeah,
a
anyway,
punch from me over the years.
I'm not trying to bash the dude. I'm just saying,
he's
as someone coming into
cool.
it again, into a buying phase, I guess I'm still getting used to how things are priced and how the actual price of things these days. Stuff from the 90s even. I mean, like later stuff. I mean, it's just crazy how everything is worth something now to a certain degree. And it's fascinating to me. I'm speechless. It's crazy.
Welcome back to GI Joe collecting, my friend. But Rob, please, before you hit buy on anything, just
let us know.
Shoot me a message, because
yeah, for sure.
There's stuff sitting with both Paul and I that is destined for you. In fact.
Oh my god! I saw an amazing ice cream soldier. You didn't have one of those.
It never gets old. Comedy. Anyways,
but
Paul,
yeah, Rob, let us know.
I
man.
shudder to think. Do you have any new shit this week?
Actually, the new stuff has dropped in the country, but getting it right now is very difficult. I haven't been able to leave to go and do any kind of shopping. Celia has been my avatar, and it's a case of being in the right mall at the wrong time. Like I'll see a message on the board like, oh my word, they've just unpacked the stock at Atterbury. Somebody's just taken a photo, and then Celia's like, no problem, I'll go and check it out. I'm almost there. And then I'll phone, and she'll be like, phone them so they can keep them aside from me. And I'm like, no problem. And then I phone them, and then the lady's like, somebody just came in and bought them all. And that happened a few times this week. So I'm still on all of them, dude. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
nasty.
So I'm so glad that I managed to get Mosquito. But the quest continues for my very own Stinkor, Webster, Eternian Goddess, and I suppose I have to, Beastman. But yeah, so I'll let you know about that. Otherwise, no new toys at all. GI Joe, He-Man, or otherwise. But there are some cool things on the horizon, and I'm going to remain mum on those until they arrive, because I think it's going to be more exciting when I have them in hand. But I'll let you guys all know how the He-Man toy quest goes in the next episode of GI Joburg. Anyway, yeah, that's me.
I think this is the first episode since I came back to GI Joburg that Paul has not had something new. This is it's crazy.
Technically,
How
I
is
think
this
it's
possible?
I think it's the third episode. I think there's at least 3 episodes where I haven't had something new. And like listeners, just understand it's not like a case of like, oh my word, like I'm just buying stuff every week. What I do is I like to do a lot of
that's
like
not where I'm going with this either. It's not a criticism. I'm just like it's crazy. Like how is it possible? There's always something new coming for Paul. It keeps me
Right?
alive knowing there's something cool he's getting.
Oh, thank you, Rob. No, I appreciate that, but I just want to just put it out there. Like, I'm one of those guys who really uses the private warehouses on online stores. Like literally, like there's 3 days to go, and then I'm like, I'm gonna ship that, And it just sometimes ends up happening that, I might have received a parcel shipment like the week, an earlier week, and then the following week is like a dry, like the following 2 or 3 weeks will be like dry, but then I'm like, oh wow, a Transformer, oh wow, a He-Man figure, oh wow, somebody's selling something on Facebook Marketplace, and it's actually it's a slippery slope, and that's why but Rob, I'm so glad to hear that that you are enjoying toys vicariously through me.
Yeah.
I will continue to do so for your sakes.
But moving the agenda swiftly along, gentlemen, what are you reading, watching, or playing? I'm going to open my account and say I watched Black Widow, I watched Free Guy, and I've seen the first episode of, what is it, Star Wars Visions?
Visions? Oh, that's
That's the anime thing.
The anime.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Black Widow, it's palatable, I guess.
It's okay.
I think the fairy tale is done. We now know almost everything we needed to know about the mysterious member of the Avengers who, in in the company of giant green hulking monsters and gods with hammers, she would run around beating people up with her sticks. But she's the super spy, and now we have her tale laid bare, so to speak. Free Guy, my goodness, man. It's very much in the same vein of Ready Player One, Edge of Tomorrow, and the Lego Movie. And I wanted to myself, like, these kind of self-referential, very like gamer culture, Fortnite-y style films. Do gamers even enjoy them? Or they're like, this stuff's corny, man.
Well,
'cause
this
I don't
gamer
know.
can't say yet. For Free Guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you watched Ready Player One, no doubt.
Yeah,
Did
that tickled me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, did you
But
like
to a
it because
degree.
of all the references and stuff? You liked it because there was a giant RX-78 gun.
The 80, amongst other things. I mean, there was
Makes
also
an entire
DeLorean.
movie. Yes, of course.
Yeah, and
Those
Canada's
little
bike.
nods,
Yeah.
did they make the whole thing palatable to you?
They put that film in a comfortable sphere of things I am happy to have on in the background. Like on repeat. If that not on repeat, I'm not going to watch Ready Player One 3 times in a day. But like if I'm sitting on Netflix and I don't know what I want to watch, or I just want to fill the house with some noise or something, like I can just go, okay, Ready Player One, that doesn't offend me, and oh yeah, I can like peek around the corner to check out the DeLorean scene, or oh cool, the RX-78 is coming. Oh, look at her.
It's not
Yeah,
really a
good
good
to see
movie,
the Gundam.
then.
I would
Yeah.
lump
More of
something like
a-
Free Guy into that category of like you can leave it on the background and it's not gonna do you any harm. It's pretty innocuous stuff. But then what's the point of having it on at all? Because Free Guy is like Ready Player One, but with even fewer references. Like spoiler, no spoiler. I don't know. They do a Marvel bit and they do a Star Wars bit, and that's about it.
Yeah, well,
Take it or leave it.
And
And
then-
then Star Wars Visions, dudes, like that first episode was incredible.
I
Artistically
need to see
for
that
me.
stuff.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. It's beautifully done. And like normally I get a giant eye roll every time people ignite lightsabers, but it's done so artfully that even what am I trying to say? The iconic element that sets Star Wars apart from other sci-fi stories like it. And let's admit to the fact that yes, it is a very, very busy playing field, very crammed. Star Wars was its own thing. Now there've been so many imitators that, like, by the time we came back to the sequel trilogy, like, it felt like Star Wars was the imitator, and it was actually imitating itself. But anyways, the lightsaber is what sets Star Wars apart, and yet it's the thing that always gets a groan out of me, because I'm like, ugh. Here we go again. It's like you can't travel this galaxy without encountering Sith and Jedi. Boo to that, I say. Galaxy should be far larger. But anyways, it's so
that should be
artfully done.
rarer. Yeah.
It captivated me, and seeing the other sort of famous iconic races and droid types that you've seen brushings of in the original trilogy. Now, of course there are other Trandoshians like Bosk. They don't always have to be Bosk. This is a reptile race that exists in this universe. Like, they can be doing other things and playing other characters and living out other roles. So stuff like that excites me. And it also had this kind of interesting, samurai bent, which Star Wars takes a lot of influence from in the early days anyways, the Kurosawa films and whatnot. So seeing those elements incorporated into, like, current Star Wars, cool. And the transport that the stormtroopers are using, it's just the middle of an AT-AT. I don't know if this is common knowledge to everyone, but, like, that is just the troop section of an AT-AT with the neck and legs lopped off and turned into, I suppose, a repulsor lift craft. Hey, cool. Kudos to the design team for coming up with that.
I totally need to check this thing out, man. I got to agree with you on we keep running into Sith and Jedi all the time, because in the Star Wars mythos, most people don't even believe the Jedi exist, and they don't even believe in the Force anymore. Like,
and yet every story worth
Jedi
telling within Star Wars, someone ignites a lightsaber. Like I say, it's the icon that is forever going to set Star Wars apart. So how do you not rely on that crutch?
And also coming back, well, I did manage to watch one cool thing. And before I get into that, I just want to comment on one thing with, like, Ready Player One and something like Free Guy. I'm sure there's a lot of video game references in Free Guy that maybe you didn't pick up on because you haven't played some of those games. Because I have heard that there are some pretty well hidden Easter eggs in Free Guy. And I haven't seen the film, so I can't speak to it. But with Ready Player One, it's a weird film in my opinion, in that it's kind of like, it's got the spirit of the book to a degree that comes through. The sort of anti-corporate.
By virtue of the fact that it has just a kind of a never-ending series of references. Like,
well, the book's actually
clever writing.
Well, the book's got more, actually.
I know,
like,
but
like,
Paul,
that's
not compelling writing. That's just like, oh, you remember this thing? Well, you're just gonna get a whole lot more of it. Little nods to the reader. Member berries, I believe, is the term.
Yeah, well, the thing, but that's what I wanted to say now. Like, as a film, Ready Player One, at least it gets its message across, even though the film itself is kind of jumbled. And and to speak on the whole, like, video gaming thing and why should you put it in and stuff, I'm not loving this current sort of thing in the movies right now where it's very on the nose. I always thought it was much cooler when you saw, like, a Pong machine in the background, or somebody has, like, there's some hacker in a cool movie and he happens to have some Gundam kits in the background, or like Robocop 3, that hacker kid, she's got like an Ed 209 model kit on her shelf, and I always thought that kind of thing was, like, much cooler. It's subtle, yeah, exactly. Space Paranoids. And I also recently watched the cool making of Tron as well, which I just felt Tron managed to handle that better in some respects. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that. The thing I watched, and it has a lot to do with, like, an Easter egg and with an upcoming film, is on the latest episode of Adam Savage's channel, he builds his proton pack. Or should I say, he finishes his proton pack. And it is such a cool video to watch, because it is a really awesome proton pack. If you guys are Ghostbusters fans, and we all are to some degree or another, it's just awesome to see what he does with it. And yeah, it's got me very inspired. And so I've been sort of on the YouTube rabbit hole because I've been working, and lately I've just been enjoying videos on how to make a proton pack. And I saw a really great tutorial on how to make one with foam rubber boards. And I got to say, that's the project I definitely want to get into as soon as I'm like freed from a little bit of work stuff, because that is something I've always wanted. It is on my wish list, and at least if I can get like a cheap hardware store made proton pack and throw on some good paint and make it work, that'll make me very happy. But yeah, that's pretty much been the extent of what I've been watching. Yeah, man. And Rob, you dude, like anything cool that you've checked out? Save us. Good games.
Well, I've watched the first episode of that. I need to keep going. It is interesting because I was like, why is everyone into this thing? It's basically, it feels to me like a battle royale, or something else that's been done before. But obviously, I mean, there must be something very.
I have that
unique and
same
different
question.
about it.
I had that same question because I haven't seen it yet. Sorry.
The first episode is pretty straightforward. It's just, it kind of sets a mystery up. Like, who are these people? That have essentially abducted all these people. You kind of understand why all of them are there. And then obviously you see that the game itself is deadly. It's a lethal game that they're playing. So I'm curious to keep going, because I imagine it's the following episodes that kind of really hook you, because the first episode, it seems pretty generic. It's just, okay, there's a guy, he has debts. Now he's drawn into this thing that he doesn't want to be in, but he has to survive and to get enough money to obviously help his family out or whatever. So I'll keep going. I managed to finally finish Midnight Mass, which was that horror miniseries that I watched.
Oh, good.
That was pretty cool. The ending was quite worth it, and it leaves you with a lot to think about, which I thought was quite cool. But the major watches of this week, Netflix. I think a while ago they had the later ones on, but now they've taken those off and they put the first 3 on. I don't know. I watched all 3 Mission Impossible movies, so 1, 2, and 3. This week, and that was an interesting experience. It's absolutely incredible how different each movie is. The first 3, like like even Ethan Hunt feels so different in each of these movies. The first movie is like a full-on proper spy mystery, where even you're trying to like figure out how things are laid out. The movie kind of changes halfway through, where Ethan kind of discovers things that have gone on, and the film still works. The first half still works, knowing what you know at that point, and it's a pretty tight movie. The action is very exciting, and then the second one obviously is full on 90s insanity, with what's his name directing?
With Limp Bizkit.
For Limp Bizkit, all the music.
John Woo
directing, and the pigeons. And the slow motion and
Lord.
Ethan Hunt constantly having to like fly through the air to shoot things, or like to drop to the ground to shoot someone. So he lies down on the ground to shoot them, or he jumps over something and he shoots them. It's absolute, it's crazy. It's just night and day. These 2 different movies.
I love that movie.
Really?
Sorry.
Guilty pleasure.
I love it. Not even guilty pleasure. I can thoroughly. I can, without any reservation, say that I love the second Mission Impossible. It is very much a product of its time.
Yes,
but
I was about to say,
it made me watch
the
first one.
No, not at all.
Oh,
yeah, it doesn't age well at all. But it's hilarious. It's so cool that there's a South African character in there as well.
But his accent is awful. And no,
it's bad. But he has
so
the kind
weird.
of. He has there are certain like words and things that he uses that I'm like, it feels more South African than a lot of other performances. Like I can't off the top of my head remember now, but there are like, he uses certain words or turns of phrase that feels more South African than a lot of other portrayals of South African.
I still think Mission Impossible 3 holds up to this day. It was J.J. Abrams, wasn't it? And
yes, this was his first one.
Philip Seymour Hoffman playing the baddie. That was some chilling shit. The way he dispatches people with that charge injected into their brain.
In the head. Basically. It's crazy. It's
Oh,
also a
heavy
very
days.
it's a big shift because I'd say the third one, because of course it involves his he has a personal relationship from the very start. The third movie isn't so much, it's not so much about the mystery or the the kind of overarching like end of the world thing. It's more about Ethan Hunt trying to I suppose like decide, is he still into this? Why is he doing this? He's trying to be drawn out of this world, and he's kind of drawn back into it. To me, yeah, it feels like it's the first two have very strong stories, not strong stories, but they're kind of focused on, okay, there's the thing happening, and he has to figure this out. He has to fix it. Well, in the third one, the Mission Impossible aspects to it aren't really the focus, so they don't matter so much, and that's why you literally have a rabbit's foot in the movie, which is quite a popular term for like a object that you don't know anything about that basically drives the story forward in like film
MacGuffin.
parlance. A MacGuffin, yeah, it's literally a MacGuffin, and it's just fascinating how it's so different in the way that it kind of approaches Mission Impossible. And then he goes on to make 4, 5, and 6, and those are all very different as well. I'm looking forward to rewatching those at some point. But yeah, it was kind of cool to kind of watch one from like I suppose the early 90s. I think that's when the original came out, and then obviously
1995 or 6.
Yes, and then like the full blown 90s-ness of the second, and then the third is more like it's more modern. It's the type of movie that we're used to watching these days, in the way that it kind of handles the subject matter.
Hey, Andrew's got a suggestion for us.
Ooh.
He says Kroll movie for Heberg. Have you guys ever watched Kroll or Krull, however you want to pronounce it?
I haven't. What is this? Or have I?
Yeah. It's a very cool like old 80s fantasy movie, and the sort of standout thing in there is that he's got a weapon that is like it's like a chakram, like he throws it, but it's like it opens up, it's got blades. It's cool. You guys have to check it. It's like it's just 80s fantasy schlock, and it's great. Yeah, Kroll. And then there's another one as well, and I can't seem to. I wish I could remember the name now. It just sort of slipped out of my head, but it's much on the same vein as Kroll. But it's like, wow, dude, it's a fan. I have to get the name of this damn movie, but and I will come back to this. I will look it up and tell everybody what it is in the next episode. But I was like shocked when I was watching this because it is a fantasy movie, and it's got like the hero, and he saves people and does the whole thing. But there is a surprisingly high amount of nudity in that movie, and it's like a PG-13. And I'm just like,
What?
The 80s, man. And I'm not talking about like boobs.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Oh man.
that just shot to the top of the to-watch list.
Yeah, right. I
Isn't that
mean,
funny,
geez.
guys. Like when we were kids, that was the thing to do. Like, which movies have like boobs in them?
Boobs.
It's
I
true
mean-
though. It is.
Kids these
We
days
just had to
have
see
the
them.
internet. They just
Yeah, they're just like, ooh,
punch
which
in the
website has the boobs in them? I mean, like all of them.
bloody Google, provided safe search is not engaged. Oh man, what a time to be alive, gentlemen. Which would you like to do first?
Oh,
The
there we go.
Robo
Sorry, it's
Skull?
Beastmaster. Sorry.
Oh.
Whoa.
Would you like to
okay
talk?
then.
Would you like to talk about the Robo Skull, or would you like to try and fix a 90s GI Joe and save him from his weapons tree fate?
I think everybody's super excited to hear about our thoughts on the Robo Skull. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
I think
we
that's a
have
cool
to.
thing.
I think we have to get pop this Robo Skull cherry so that whoever's listening can be like, oh yes, finally, yes.
Finally, I understand what the big deal is. Well, the easiest way to do this, folks who are watching the YouTube version, I'm going to, and I suppose you could just go to your browser and punch this in yourself. But if you go to the Kickstarter page, which is kickstarter.com/projects/Skeletron, which is the name of the company producing RoboSkull, and then /again RoboSkull. So that's kickstarter.com/projects/Skeletron/RoboSkull. The link will be in the description below. But if you are kicking it old school and you're jotting this down for some reason, there you have it. So yes, if you go to the Kickstarter, you will see. Now my currency is all in Oz dollars, so let me just change that. It in USD, it's $269,920 have been pledged. The initial goal was only 78,000, so they've blown past that 4 times over, 5 times over. Math was never my strong suit. There've been 635 backers, and there are 27 days left as of recording this podcast. So as of listening to it, if you are hot off the presses, there are probably 26 days to go, because I'm that fast. Yes, editing a day. I know, right? Impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, this project is to get a. It's designed for both 1 to 12 and 1 to 18 scale figures. We'll get into that in a bit. But it is a reimagining of the classic Palitoy Red Skull's Robo Skull spaceship, airship, jetcraft, rocketcraft. I don't know. Basically, back in the day, they took a TIE fighter. This is Bob Breakin, Palitoy legend, who has been brought back to assist on the design of this, which is an incredible story in and of itself. But anyways, back in the day, they took a TIE fighter, messed with it a bit, remodeled the cockpit into a skull shape, jammed a few extra figures in there. It can accommodate 3 figures, the original at least, and so can this, and made it and called it good. And it has gone on to become a legendary toy. Certainly its price point has rocketed up on the secondary market, and I imagine this Mark II is only going to increase its notoriety, the original. But we're here to talk about the newbie, and it is a beautiful piece. I've chewed the air enough. Paul, I know you're excited. What are your thoughts, my friend?
Oh, dude, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I mean, I went and looked up the old Robo Skull shortly after our last, one of our earlier podcasts about Blood for the Baron, because I was like, what do these things look like again? Because, the Skeletron sort of hype marketing had already started, and I was curious. I wanted to see I wanted to get like kind of a mental picture of what to expect from this thing going forward. And I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised. It's cool how the aesthetic keeps a lot of what made the original very good, but also adds a lot of sort of modern nuances to make it feel current and to make it feel sort of like it fits in with what we're getting from classified, or should I say, for what we're getting from the 1 to 12 scale toys at the moment, which is really good. Like, they could have actually gone full retro with this and sort of almost redesigned the retro. And when I say redesign, they could have just modernized the retro a little bit and it would have been fine. But they kind of swung the other way and went full tilt and made this thing super gnarly. It is very cool. I love skulls and I love skull motifs, and that thing just looks so high fantasy. And, so they had me at that first, and yeah, that's what I want to say. They had me at that first image. I think I saw it on Facebook. There was like a really cool painting of it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's nice.
Probably
and
the
retro.
Ian Kennedy. Now, Ian Kennedy was one of the original artists, I believe, on Battle.
Yeah.
So he was around to illustrate the original Robo Skull. And
they had me at that. And I was just like, oof, I've got to go and check out this toy now. I want to see like how they pull this off. And I'm going through this and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's got the skull face and it's got the cool like foils for the wings and all that's going on. But when you look deeper, then you start seeing all the cool stuff that it does. I mean, never mind just the pilots. Okay, so the most standout feature, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to love this. If you don't know this, it can fit 3 3/4 inch Joes, or 3 3/4 inch figures rather, or 1 to 12 scale figures. Yeah, which is very Night Raven. And yeah, so you got that option, or you can pop in one of your classified Joes or other 1 to 12 scale figures in there, which is also really rad. So the fact that they managed to pull it off and that the scale works for both those sizes of toys is just amazing. That is a feat. And then as you look deeper, you start finding out, well, these wings are not just landing platforms. They have different types of attack modes. They got like a cruise mode and an agility mode. I don't know if it's called an agility mode, but it's like a high maneuver mode. They've got an attack mode. So the wings actually have all kinds of cool folding. The Japanese like to call them gimmicks in their toy breakdowns.
Parlance.
Yeah, and their toy parlance. Oh, wow. And then you got that picture. Sorry, you've just popped it up now on the screen, the picture of the guy holding it. And you're like, wow, it's huge.
It's pretty big. It's considerably bigger than the original.
And I'm going through this and I'm checking all of this out. I'm like, wow. And now my mouth's watering. I'm like, okay, I'm actually really, really keen for this thing. Because now I've seen it. It's big now. And so I scroll back up and I look a bit and I'm like, the mouth opens. And it's got little missiles that are removable. And you can and it's got these little modular points. I think you had an image of it earlier where it's got one of the His Tanks, the His Tank version 5's guns mounted on the wing. And I'm just like, damn, this thing's amazing. I mean, this is going to be like $400 or $500. And as I scroll down, I see the prices. It's only like $210 or $230 or something. And you get to pick one of the pilots. So naturally, I'm like, okay, I'm in. What pilot do I want for it now?
Yes. The Wolf Trooper or the Weasel?
Yeah, a part of me wants to get the Weasel because of the GI Joe kind of the sort of cross-linked side of it. But the Wolf pilots are amazing. This is a very sexy toy. Is all I'm gonna say. Is what I'm trying to say, I suppose.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And the figures themselves were, I think, it's a collaboration with Marauders to actually produce the figures. It's absolutely, this thing is incredible. They've done an amazing job, and the fact that it does fit multiple scales means that it has even more utility, or at least it's desirable to tons more groups than just say going, okay, here's for 3¾ inch guys, or only for the 12-inch guys.
So there are various stretch goals that have become unlocked, and most recently, I think the 6-inch figure has become unlocked. I'm going to be cribbing a lot from a Full Force interview with one of the creatives that dropped when they, in conjunction with the launch of the Kickstarter. But back then, they were like saying, oh, I hope this gets unlocked. Well, it is unlocked. The 6-inch figure is available, and get this, it has a removable helmet that then reveals that it is, in fact, Skeletron. Now, if you are a fan of Palitoy Action Force, you might be familiar with the Skeletron action figure. But you might not know that the Skeletron was intended to be the pilot of the Robo Skull. And it used to be called Robo Skull. But then there was this oh, but Robo Skull is the name of the ship. We can't make it the name of the pilot also, as Bob Breakin tells the story. So they decided to release Skeletron. They cooked up this new name for the character, Skeletron, and released that as a Mailaway exclusive. And
GI Joe?
They retained Robo Skull as the name of the vehicle. I think that's the story. And then they released it with Red Wolf initially, and then as more O-ring style GI Joe figures got phased into the line, they used Wild Weasel. Hence why Skeletron, the Kickstarter initiative, is releasing 2 variant pilots in the 1:18 scale or 4-inch scale. That being what are they called? The Wolves and the Weasels. I mean, the list of unlocked goals is very extensive. I can go through a few of them if you guys would care to join me and speak to them as you wish. They want to do, or they have unlocked a kind of an armored frontage for your Robo Skulls. Very cool. It just basically changes the faceplate from an exposed skull to a more, I suppose, it looks like the helmet of the action figure in a sense. They've unlocked these little, a trio of assassin skeledrones, which are articulated 4-legged little things that come as bonuses with your Roboskull. Every Roboskull that you purchase will come with these additional little bits and bobs, or you can buy them separately for $15. And I learned that the head of these assassin skeletons is removable and can be placed on a Marauders Task Force action figure, or perhaps a 4-inch
A
GI Joe.
Yeah, modern
figure,
era
yeah.
Joe. Oh. Dude, this thing is super
They've
cool.
done, in conjunction with Grindstone Studios, I think it's Grindstone Toys, sorry. They've done a retro O-ring figure, which looks incredible. That just tickles my nostalgia button big time. Ooh.
Ooh.
And it looks great. My goodness.
So, yeah, like, oh, wow. So, like, wait, hold on. What do I have to do to get the vintage figure with mine now? Like,
you can now purchase it for $25. Or, yeah, you purchase it on top of your Roboskull.
Yeah.
okay, so, like, you'll buy your Roboskull for, like, $220. Okay,
And
which
then you
already
add
is coming
25.
with... Yeah, which is already coming with... Okay, at least the combination I'm looking at is a Roboskull Mark II SE and 4-inch Weasel Pilot. That's $220. And so you just have to add an additional 25, and then bang, you've got a cool vintage one to go with that.
And it's carded. If there's
What?
one bone to pick I have with the campaign, it's just in the copy that, like, yes, we know these are incredible designs, and they're very lovingly and very patiently, like, obviously the time and effort was put into this stuff. But I don't like the use of, like, an adjective when they say, includes one Grindstone Toys 3.75-inch O-ring Skeletron retro action figure, comes beautifully carded. Like, I'll be the judge of that, thanks. You've been smoking too much of your own shit, man. It comes beautifully carded.
Well,
shit.
I gotta
Anyway,
say,
it's a minor nitpick.
the words they put in here, I mean, they're actually, it's actually cool to kind of go through. They're quite, they have a sense of humor, which I think is quite cool. Play value, endless, total collector value, priceless.
Yeah.
I can't believe...
So yes,
like,
the unlockables are steaming along. I don't think anything is left to be unlocked at the stretch goal level. I think that's it.
well, yeah, because... And so now the other question is... like,
Oh, apologies. There is one more stretch goal that has been added, and that's Robo Glow enhancements.
Word.
That unlocks at $296,000. It'll
And
be
that'll
free
come
with the Roboskull.
Yeah, which I think is, like, that's great. Like, I'm glad that they want to throw that in as a freebie and not as an additional pay for, because I wouldn't pay for an effect, but if it's coming free, I'm going to be very happy about it.
This
So-
thing is
Yes.
absolutely amazing. Congrats
It's
to these guys to actually
$220. I
figuring
can't
it out.
believe it. It's not that much. Like,
Yep.
if you look at the
dropped a
size
cool
of this,
grand, you will be able to get 5, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, $1,080.
of the-
You get five Roboskulls, and you can get them in any configuration. You get them the regular red. With, I guess they've got the extra sort of detailing around the mouth area. It looks like a black dry brushing. That looks pretty sexy. But there's also that kind of like yellow stripe version. And you can get them in any kind of configuration. You can get 5 of the reds or 5 of the yellow stripe, or any, as I say, configuration mix and match.
well,
so
definitely
desire.
go and check it out. If you're interested, go and have a look at this, because these look really cool. I mean, congrats to these guys to actually creating such an incredible product.
Ah, yes, the Roboskull Mark II SE is what they call it, with the kind of the yellow design to it. Lovely,
Oh,
lovely,
okay.
lovely stuff. And guys, if 200 and some change sounds like a lot for this toy, let me put things in perspective for everyone listening to this. Right
yeah,
now. You are not going to be able to buy the vintage that cheaply. And this is a new toy. It is a much more considerably large toy. It comes with all the mod cons and the adaptability. Something that we haven't mentioned just yet, The original the original Robo Skull had, just like Boba Fett's Slave One, a place to store a prisoner. Well, so does this, but it goes one step further. It's like a cassette that you can place a figure into and then slam it into the back and click it in place. It's beautifully sculpted. It's made of a kind of a translucent red plastic, painted in certain areas so you can see the captive inside it. And what's more, it comes with a kind of a hover effect underneath it, a stand, if you will, so that you can really, act out that Empire Strikes Back moment with Lobot and the boys pushing the captive Han Solo, or whatever Marauder's figure you happen to put in there. They've got a guy with a red beret. Nice.
I think a really
yes.
apt comparison here would be like, this is the Eagle Hawk to the Tomahawk. Like everyone knows the Eagle Hawk is the best.
Oh, I'm seething with rage right now.
Oh, Robbie.
Nonsense.
The new one is better.
Okay, guys, let's bring it back into the room. We have chinwagged about how amazing this thing is, but what are we actually doing as GI Joburg towards this initiative? Apart from promoting it right now, I imagine everyone listening to this is furiously checking out Kickstarter.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I mean, I checked this out the other night in detail. I want to get one. I just want to see if I'll have enough cash for it within the allotted time, which I think I might be able to. I think we can get one for GI Joburg, definitely. And I don't want to get. I actually like it in proper red. I don't like. And I'm sorry to the guys who are behind this Kickstarter and all that. I just don't like the yellow.
Look, it's for folks who are getting multiples. It does incentivize having a trio of them, for instance,
or an ace.
Exactly. You'd have the leader and his wingman.
So I'm very keen on getting like the standard red one with like one of those. I would like to get it with Weasel, but I think Weasel only comes with the SE version, from what I can tell. But that's okay because I think the blood wolves are amazing. I just like the novelty of the Weasel, but I definitely want one of those retro dudes to come with it. One of those like O-ring styled guys to come with mine. Like,
oh my god, a brand new O-ring figure. I mean, that's just insane.
Right? I want to see that. Like, I want that in my collection. And this thing is super obscure. It's just metal. I love it. It's got such a metal vibe to it. And yeah, I think we'd be silly to pass up on it. If we even have like a vague interest in it, I think we'd be silly to pass up on it. I think it's one of those things that where later on down the line we're going to be like, I should have gotten that into that Kickstarter. I don't know.
And Paul,
I know I want one.
Don't take my word for it. You might have to do your own research at this point. But I think if you chuck in an extra $25, you can buy a single carded Weasel figure separate. So you would get the carded wolf figure with your standard Robo Skull Mark II, and then you can chip in a bit extra for, I think it's offered through the Kickstarter exclusively if you wanted to kind of buy an additional pilot. But like I say, I don't know if I'm remembering the interview correctly at this point. Would you want to get the add-on heavy metal armor Robo Knight sort of plate? It's $15.
Personally, no. I think it's very cool. I think it's a great feature and it's great design, but I love that skull, man. I just love that skull. Yeah. I would hate to cover it up, and I don't want to pay $15 to cover it up.
Good point.
Yeah. I mean, and also it's well designed. I mean, and once again, like you said, if you've bought more than one, it's cool because now you can have your ace with these yellow livery. You can have an armored version. You can make two of them, the armored versions as your bombers or whatever's, and then you can have your two support guys, So
something that is news to me and probably news to everyone, but or at least to you guys, the Robo Skull Mark II is compatible with 4-inch figures. It's compatible with 6-inch figures, but it's also compatible with 1-inch figures. So take a look.
Oh, yeah, the Diaclone stuff. Yeah.
Yes, there's a Diaclone range of pods from Diaclone World, and you can fit those pods into the eyeball sockets of the Robo Skull.
No, what are the...
So this thing is compatible with 3 different scales, and that's incredible. I mean, this thing would be a gigantic ship compared to those Diaclone 1-inch figures, but there they are.
That'd be like I don't even know, like a warship essentially, like a space, like a gigantic.
The trade-off is the fact that the internals won't be scaled accurately. Like, sure, you can put the pilots in the eyes, but you can't then open the canopy and it's kind of scaled accurately to have an interior space that those guys can interact with. So there won't be like different cabins and a bridge and
for sure.
weapons control area. Like there's a lot of imagination that could take this step further, and maybe they've considered it because there are still stretch goals that are waiting in the wings that haven't been announced yet. I mean, this campaign is still very, very young. So who knows? Maybe there's you can rip out the current internals of your Robo Skull and put in a 1-inch scaled world in there. It'll be like
there we go.
Mighty Max
1-inch scale.
It's very Mighty Max.
Polly Pocket. No, Polly Pocket with his skull bent. Yeah, Mighty Max is kind of the most apt parallel to draw. It's like, it's one of those horror heads. Weren't they called horror heads? Something like that.
Like Mad Balls.
No, the Mighty Max, like they had a specific name. Anyways,
I don't know what their specific name was. I just loved them, and there was actually one with a skull motif. So
absolutely, it was like a
my first one. Yeah, and it had a little bookshelf that you could like open up. It was a little secret compartment. That was great. Okay, so like, Mighty Max was great. I actually kicked myself for trading a lot of them off for Micro Machines and stuff as a kid. Anyway, back to the Robo Skull. Okay. I realistically, I want to get one. I want to plan. I'm hoping that at the end of this month, I'll have enough sort of green to be able to put into one, because we could also use it for like play motion.
Indeed.
We could use it, and that'll be a great
Joe
thing.
Goes to space.
Right. And I think something that's worth mentioning. Well, just before we move away from it as well, I kind of secretly hope that one of the stretch goals, one of the stretch goals that pops up is that we would get the original canopy. If you look at the original, it's got this like canopy that's got this like little bubble on it, like this like little bubble shaped sort of window. And I know why they've done away with it, because just modern aesthetic, it's what we're getting now is a much better trade-off. But I think that would be a cool one for the fans, especially for old school fans, to be able to get a canopy that's just like a little bit different with that bubbly thing on it. I think guys would go nuts for that. A part of me is a little keen on that as well, but we'll see how they go. But yeah, I'm going to put out a question.
Don't they just remove the TIE Fighter kind of cockpit glass and move it to the top?
Yeah, they kind of the way they sort of did it on the original. It's just it's quite clever. So firstly, I've got a question for everybody in our comments now, as our live audience. Thanks to the Bergforce Patreon. Which ones are you guys going to get? Like, what are you interested in this line? Are you even interested in a Robo Skull? Is this something that like appeals to you? I think yes. If you guys can shoot us a yes with what it is that you're getting or what it is that you've already backed. Obviously, if you've been one of those guys that backed the 1,000 Rand pledge, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just keen to know if you got a Skeletron and a Weasel and a Wolf and a Retro and a faceplate. I'm keen on that kind of thing because that's just interesting to me. And then in the comments, let us know, like, are you going to be getting yourselves a Robo Skull? Does this appeal to you? Is this something like that you're like, oh my word, I didn't know this existed, I've got to get one, or I've been waiting for this my whole adult life? Let us know, because I'm curious to see what you guys think, because that might even inform some of the extras that we can buy for the Robo Skull that I'll get for the Robo Skull, because then, you know, maybe we could do like a play motion with it, or we can do a GI Joburg style review on it, or something like that going forward. And it'd be nice to have the bits and bobs that you guys think are interesting for this bad boy. I just love the gun sticking out of the eye holes. That's so cool on the retro.
Well, they've faithfully reproduced them, except made them more, I suppose, minigunny. You know, they look like rotary barrels, whereas the original looked like ray guns. Yeah, man. This campaign is full of win, though. I suppose it's easy come, easy go for us. We don't have anything invested in this. People have been cracking on this project for over 2 years now, and they've got some heavy hitters. You know, I mentioned Bob Breakin. I don't know what level he was involved in the Robo Skull Mark II's design, but being the man, the chief man responsible for the original, the fact that he is a living legend and still is alive and kicking, it was a no-brainer to bring him on, and amazing that he actually agreed to do it. He's a very generous guy, so I suppose Chris and Kate McLeod are good mates with him. I think it came out of a conversation that they had that he was brought back into the fold. But that just speaks to the level of investment and care that this project has. And the proof of the pudding is in how quickly it's funded. Because, this thing did not take long at all. Anyways, gents, have we got any responses? If guys are all in? Yep, looks like it. In the chats. So, I mean, realistically, I need... Yeah. Darren, Ryan... Good job, boys.
Hey, guys, as well, just curious, because I haven't done... The last time I did something that was Kickstarter-ish was another great fan-made... Well, when I say fan-made project, I don't even think you could call it a fan project anymore. The Valiverse stuff, the Action Force, I mean, that was the last sort of crowdfunded Kickstarter thing I supported in a big way. That actually worked. Unlike Word Burglar's Vinyl, which I botched and didn't actually get. Damn it.
Well,
anyway.
Don't worry, I represented on that one. It's staring me in the face right now. I still don't have a record player, though.
So I'm curious, like, when you get this, do we still have to, like, slap on some shipping on top of that? Because I know it ships worldwide.
Yes,
and worldwide is great.
Postage is not included, so depending on where you are in the world, But I wonder where the factory is, because China to South Africa is cheaper than the United States to South Africa. Did you know that? Yes, you did.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's also because of other things that it's cheaper. But there's that. But then the other thing is, you know, South Africa is kind of like, well, you've received something. Allegedly. You know, so a part of me is thinking that, like, Bart's gonna be the recipient of my Robo Skull until I'm ready to ship it. So I think because that's a major concern, because I mean something like that is not going to ship for at least internationally. I don't think it's going to ship for anything less than $70. So I'm going to, I'm going to have to make a plan there. But I'm in on a Robo Skull. I want to make this happen. It's very sexy. It's very retro. And I kind of feel like we also have to represent in a small way, not just because, I mean, it's great to support fan projects, especially a fan project that, you know, that we like. I mean, and it's not to say that there's been fan projects out there that we didn't like, and that's why we didn't support them. Sometimes it was just a matter of timing and things. But also, you know, we grew up in a country that got Action Force as well. So I kind of feel like there's a part of me that wants to also kind of get it, so I can, you know, like just represent, you know, like, oh, cool, Hero Joe fans, you know, or Euro supplied Joe fans. So
International Berg Force.
And you know who's been a massive supporter of this project? And I just want to say kudos, because if this man wasn't going on about it as much as he was, I don't think I would have known about it. I don't think I would have like cared as much. I don't know, it's weird. But Ryan Sweeney, if you're out there, thanks, man. Like, you have been a huge spokesman for this toy, and thank you for like essentially letting us know about it by posting about it and sharing it a lot on Facebook and all that, and giving it attention. Because yeah, it's one of those things that I might have, sort of seen it and gone, oh, okay, yeah, that's gonna happen sometime, and then realized that when it did actually happen, I may have missed it, or it might have been too late for me to save up for it. So, thanks, Ryan. I see a comment about the Airwolf. Yeah, to everybody that's getting themselves an Airwolf, knock yourselves out. That's great. I just don't have that same fondness or excitement for the Airwolf. But I'm getting a damn Robo Skull. So.
And Darren gives us the facts that Australian shipping was 80 Australian dollars. So 800 South African rands. Nice. Thanks, Darren. Gentlemen, let's flip the script.
Let's fix some 90s toys.
Yes. Yes. There are some gem action figures in the 90s, but soured by really lame gear. I think I'll open my account by mentioning all the beautiful potential that we had with Mace.
I was also going to say something about Mace.
I bought this figure real cheap because I could not stand any of his gear. He basically comes with Muskrat's helmet and BFG that attaches not to his back, not to his arms, but to his head. So, yeah, instantly forgettable, and made him a very cheap pickup because I didn't want those toys. Or those accessories, I should say. But that leaves you in the quandary. What do you give Mace? Now, this character it might be getting a lot of head scratches from the audience. They say he was supposed to be part of the second wave of DEF figures, but DEF kind of got shit-canned after 1 year. I guess they probably won the war on drugs, or maybe they lost the war on drugs. Maybe Headman won. But either way, the DEF ceased to be a thing in 1993. And so this guy had no sub-team to belong to. In any case, he is an undercover specialist. So I guess he's in the same vein as Chuckles. But he has a look that might be considered a little plain to some. And this is where the figure's potential takes off. Because you could play him as a Joe undercover, sure, or you could play him as some kind of seedy underworld enforcer. He's got a black jacket, like a motorcycle jacket, black gloves, and what really sells it for me, he's got this slick back hairstyle that ends in a ducktail at the back. Now it channels Arnold Schwarzenegger in Raw Deal to me. So like this is like bad dude. Like he's definitely working on the outside of the law here. But his accessories are absolute pants. They do not assist him in any way in characterizing himself. So how do we fix this guy? Well, just like Chuckles, he's got to have a piece. He's got to have a sidearm that integrates with the figure. I would love to have the good old holster. Removable holster, removable weapon, which was an innovation in 1987. Why not bring it back for the year 1993? Come on. But there's a twist. To further enhance this guy's undercover work, he'll come with an attaché case. The attaché case opens in the same style that Destro version 1 has. It's basically a solid plastic piece with a ridge along the back of thinner plastic that it flexes along. It's pretty strong. I mean, Bullhorn's case, for instance, Destro's cases, I don't think Zartan's case, I don't think these things have broken too much. I don't know. Mine certainly are not hanging on by a thread. They seem very secure. Anyways, I'd use that again. But take a little lesson from Bullhorn's collapsible rifle and give this attaché case a false bottom into which you could place his accompanying pistol. So you can either have him holstering and carrying very visibly, or you can have it hidden in the false bottom of this case. And the false bottom should have sculpted greeblies on top of it. like maybe some illicit substances or some cold hard cash, or a little bit of tech like some communications gear, some general spy stuff. I mean, the imagination runs wild, but like it's basically a marriage of things that we saw with Lifeline version 1, with Bullhorn, with Destro, but just taking it to the next level by giving it a panel that flips up inside of it, and holds his accompanying pistol in a kind of a recess, just like Bullhorn's collapsible gun. Have it sunken in there, but then still have enough room for this false bottom to kind of rest atop it and fool his quarry into thinking that that's all there is. Like, oh, this mountain of cocaine. That's all that you've got in your case. Look no further. Anyways, that's me, fellas. Who's next? How do I make this go
Before
away?
we move on from Mace, his motto is still the best. I always have the last laugh of Cobra criminals, right after I lock them up.
Yeah, this guy's definitely bagging rails. He's chasing the white lines.
White
Robbie,
lines.
I think you've just... Yeah, very good.
Blow
away. Okay. You've elected yourself to be the next gentleman for a shave. Do it.
Well, I think probably I think the 90s were crazy. I think what they tried to do, obviously they went real cheap on the weapons, and it really depended on the figure. If the colors that the weapons came in were actually okay, I think there's a lot of them where like you can kind of dismiss the fact that you have the same weapons that every other character has. Like I think Roadblock, I mean his ones from 93 aren't too bad, even though he doesn't come with a Mardus type, weapon. But one that I think okay, so wait, where was I going? Oh yes, yeah. So they all have the same types of weapons. Sometimes they come with like some weird helmet, but across whenever they did include these weapon trees, there would be no like nice backpack, I think. And some characters kind of need a backpack to kind of complete their look or complete their functionality. And for me, probably a standout one for that would be Daltone from '94. He's the communications expert who comes with the wackiest helmet. He just looks he looks so freaking weird with this thing on. It's like he's got like they're like angled, I suppose like very triangular glasses. It's kind of like he's wearing like weird triangular glasses on his head. The coloring of the figure isn't too bad, I think. You could probably paint over, there's some like weird green, yellow stuff on his chest. You could paint over that. But otherwise, the figure is actually pretty decent, I think. You can keep the helmet, but I think he needs, once again, like he did, back in the 80s, he needs a proper, cool, like communications tech type backpack. You can update it to kind of look more 90s. You can kind of give it like more bells and whistles, maybe. But he needs some sort of backpack that completes who he is, and his usefulness is his mission on the field is to, be able to relay communications, and he can't do that if he doesn't have a backpack that can do all of that. I'm not ready yet to believe that everything fits into the helmet. Like we're not far enough into
1993, dude.
No, it's not far enough in the future. So I think definitely Daltone for me would be one of the guys who needs like a proper backpack to complete his look. And I think in general he looks actually pretty decent with his helmet on. It looks really out there, but I can kind of buy it because of the rest of his look. But I think he definitely needs a helmet. Not a helmet, a backpack.
It's just like, how does he carry that gun?
I don't know how he does
the
that.
big yellow gung-ho gun that comes with him. I'm like, why put that in with Daltone? It's just...
It makes no sense. That should have gone with Roadblock. I mean, that's the thing that comes on a tree. It's that machine gun is on a tree. But then you bring out Roadblock, and Roadblock doesn't
machine
have
gun
on
tree.
his tree. Exactly, he doesn't have the tree.
Machine guns don't grow off trees.
Well, unless you're a figure in the 90s, in the GI Joe line. They grow plastic trees. Yeah, so I think Daltone, for me at least, would be a big fix. Like, if you could just give him a really cool backpack. I mean, I kind of like the weapons he comes with. I think he comes with, weirdly enough, separately. Oh, no, not separately. Actually, no, that's his huge gun. I forgot. Like, I think the strange thing is he actually does come with like the weird green version of his gun, I think.
Oh yes.
So they actually did have that on the tree there, which I think is kind of cool. But okay, I'm going too far if I have to start talking about the colors again. But I think yes, give him a cool
What would his
communications
backpack
tech
do?
backpack.
Like, would it have? Because I remember Dalton in '86 had a
He
little
had like
bit
a
of a
little mic
feature.
that came down. Yeah, it kind of came
Yeah,
down. But the thing is, he already has a mic in his backpack. So I suppose
in his
if you could
helmet.
kind of into his
Rob.
helmet. Oh god, I'm still waking up an hour and a half later. I suppose you could connect the backpack to his helmet. I think that'd be kind of cool
Yes.
to kind of have a tube again, and that'd be kind of awesome. And maybe like an extendable antenna. Maybe you could do that as well in the backpack, so it kind of like comes up and out. I'm not sure how
It
that
does
would
feel
work.
to me like you are describing DJ, who's the kind of the communications expert that fits in between the two dial tone releases.
Yes, but it's like then if you could do that for DJ, why can you do that for the actual communications experts of the GI Joe team? Why? Why would you do
Many a
this?
mystery abound with the classic
Ruin
GI
him.
Joe line. Yep,
Ruin him.
yep.
Just do it. You could
Wasted
even
on
make
DJ.
it that the backpack could. You could even set it up maybe. I suppose you could take it off his back, kind of set it up to some standalone. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Because he doesn't
sure.
have to have it on him all the time. As long as he has like a link between him and the backpack, and the backpack itself has a link to whatever communicates with the outside forces. That kind of frees him up to kind of be more useful on the battlefield. Then he can use all of his bright green weapons to take on Cobra while still maintaining communications between the team and everyone else.
The comments are having a go at dial tone. Darren's like, dial tone? I think they mean dial Cylon. And Ryan says laser tag dial tone. Yeah, absolutely. Or
Absolutely.
what was the imitation to laser tag? Photon.
Photon, yeah, I think
Photon.
that's what it was.
Oh goodness.
But like, yeah, I just had to choose as like my top pick was someone who kind of fits into the 90s, but still, to me at least, looks kind of decent. Other than a helmet, but the helmet at least places him squarely in the 90s. There's some good helmets out there. I mean, like figures in the 90s got good head, I thought, in general.
Except when the helmet was going to rip your head off at the neck when you fire the bloody rocket. Oh, come on, man. That is just some harebrained shit.
Sense.
You know it. Paulie, you're up, buddy.
Share my
La,
screen.
la, la, la,
It's
la,
number
la, la,
screen,
la.
the screenity screen. Yay. Okay. So it goes without like saying that some of my favorite designs. Well, actually, no. I'm surprised at how many designs in this line I really enjoyed, and this is also part of why I was so inspired to do this topic as well. So one of the figures that I've been chasing, or one of the toys I want from this line like badly is this Dr. Mindbender V2. He is.
Oh, he's very cool.
Oh, he's super cool. I love it. I just wish he had more more to speak to his mind control. And I know I've kind of mentioned him before because I feel like he should have been part of the Mega Marines, at least on the Cobra side. And so I think it would have been so great if this Mindbender came with. It would be great if he came with his cape again. But okay, fine. They don't want to give us soft goods. So then give us some kind of cool backpack that's got some kind of like, I don't know, like a tube that runs into a gun or something that, looks like it can like scramble people's brains or, like an upgrade. Yeah, like an upgrade of his original, piece. Now it actually, goes on his back as opposed to being dragged around the floor like a vacuum cleaner, Like I would have dug that because this sculpt is amazing, and I need to stop talking because the price every time I probably say it's great, the prices are going to go up or something stupid. But I just think it would have been so rad if they had that, or even just like a backpack that has like an over-the-shoulder kind of cannon or something. I just think would have been so nice. Not necessarily a weapons that really shoot cannon, but just a cannon. Also, thank you 3D Joes for this awesome image. Another great one that I would have liked to have, another great figure from this that I really love is, I just want to just make sure he's in this year, but is the Night Creeper leader. I feel like the Night Creeper leader is also, it's one of my favorites. It's also a toy I'm trying to desperately get my hands on. I actually like both of them, the orange one and the yellow and purple and black or whatever it is. But he comes with like a lot of repurposed roadblock gear, which is like kind of interesting because that little like arm-mounted crossbow is badass. But I don't understand why he has to have roadblock shield. I think it would have been great if we also got like a backpack similar to the original Night Creeper that could like keep 2 swords on it, and maybe you could plug like a crossbow onto it. I think that would have been a hell of a lot of fun. And you know, just a simple, I understand tooling and all that, but I think that would have been simple and fun and just given us a little bit of a touch of that old schoolness, you know. I mean, yes, he comes with these orange swords and they're fun, but I just would have liked like a place to keep them as opposed to like, okay, now that I'm finished playing with them, I have to put them in the drawer. I can't just like put them on his backpack and have a day, you know.
I have a bone to pick with Mindbender's accessories over the course of forever.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so random. Now, with the value of hindsight, giving him the old cattle prod or giving him random pack-in weapons make a lot less sense than just giving him the damn brainwave scanner.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
dude.
right. Yeah, that's the thing, you know. He could. Yeah, that's also good. That's a good idea. Like, it could have just been
I
like a
mean,
portable brainwave scanner or something, you know.
well, it could break down pretty small. I mean, Duke got a BFG that has a seat attached to it. Like, all you need is a seat and a little base, and then basically like an old hair dryer. You know,
Right.
the old ladies sit and have their hair did. They sit under the bloody hair dryer. Yeah, that's all it needs to be. Something to strap a figure down onto, and then, in fact, it doesn't even need to be a seat. It can be just like a backboard that can stand, you know, a freestanding backboard that a figure plugs onto.
Yeah, I think that'd
And
be
then
because
you've
the
got the
figure
thing.
himself from the 90s is very well designed. I mean, he has like
Yeah.
kind of like that head thing. He has kind of like wrist, like bracelets on that kind of suggest a lot of kind of like technology or like mind control possibilities. But he needs something outside of himself that
And as
kind
much
of
as
completes
the
that.
as much as the brainwave scanner gets a collective groan from us now, it is an essential part of not only Dr. Mindbender's story, but GI Joe mythology. Like, yeah, it's important. We've yet to get a scale brainwave scanner. I wonder if there's a rights issue there. I wonder if like they'd have to pay Larry. No, I don't think they have to pay Larry a cent. He was working under their license, but you know, it is his idea. His
It is weird that we've never
design.
gotten a proper one yet. It's
Yeah.
odd.
So,
Yeah.
which brings me to another figure that I feel like is a missed opportunity, Major Blood, like
Battle Core.
Battle Core, right? I just think it's so sad because firstly he's got, I don't know if he's still got a cybernetic hand and now it's just got like a flesh, you know, covering now. But
Cyberdyne Systems Model 101.
exactly, but he's got the Robocop spike. It just happens to be in his elbow, you know. So, you know, so like if he, I don't know, maybe stuff in Cobra works like, you know, you have to use your elbow and then you put it into the slot, you know, and then whatever's, because that's kind of a unique piece of sculpt there, and that's actually got me thinking, you know, he's got
I
this whole
never
cyborg
saw that before.
crazy,
He's
hey?
got a protrusion coming off his right arm, like at the elbow.
He's also got a hell of a diaper.
Wow. I get the feeling that's from another figure. Isn't that a Toxo Viper's lower body? Yeah, that is definitely Toxo Viper Eco Warriors.
I just love that Major Blood decided he wanted to go even more avant-garde with his outfit and added some spikes and whatever's to his
He's
to his
Lord
ensemble.
Dread from Captain Power.
Right?
Totally.
So like
Another
this got me
Borg
thinking.
candidate. Like just like Bart said in the chats that Battle Core Mindbender is great for Borg customs.
Oh, he'd be
So
amazing, yeah.
So is this Major Blood. He's also got
totally.
like it just occurred to me now, he's got a Destro collar. You know, he's got the red popped collar.
Yeah, he's trying to get on Baroness's good side. He's all like, you know, I'm gonna write you some poems and I'm gonna write you some poems and stuff. You're gonna like love me because I'm cool.
There is your medallion, Destro, darling.
Very nicely done, dude. I just think it would be great if like he had like a little port or something in his arm, and then you could like, you know, like if he was like a bat, right? So kind of make Major Blood's right arm like a bat's arm. You can take out the front piece of the arm and you can replace it with like a gun or like a spiky thing or a cutty thing or whatever's. Hey, even repurpose a bat's backpack and just use that arm. I think that would have made this Major Blood way more interesting. You know, aside from just having the sculpt, and I think it would have, you know, complemented the sculpt. You know, I think it would have made it a lot more fun and made him just more memorable to people. I think people would be like, "Oh yeah, I love that Major Blood figure. He was like a bat." I don't know. Just I think that could be cool. And then I mean, I can go down the rabbit hole, so I'm going to definitely cap it off now as best I can. But something that definitely needs to be mentioned as well is Metalhead. You know, you go from a character or a toy design that is so rad, you know, with all of these cool, you know, missile launchers and everything stuck on him, to basically a guy that now carries missile launchers. That looks like he could be Major Blood's son or Major Blood cosplaying as somebody else. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that this is a total lost opportunity. They could have also given him some very cool backpack styling, you know, in a similar vein to like what we now know as the Data Viper. We could have had, you know, that kind of thing. He could have even had like maybe like little like sentries or something with missile launchers or rocket launchers on them, you know, and then he can just shout at them and tell them where to kill things. I think that was just a bit of a missed opportunity as well, because now he's, you know, he's burdened here by Cable's artist, you know, sensibilities.
Look,
yeah, there we go.
This
Life
is
felt
interesting.
sensibilities.
You're throwing light on figures that I have never considered owning personally for the first time, and it's the first time I've realized that he's got Rock Viper's lower half.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
He's a rock viper, not a rock lobster. Anyway.
Well, it's interesting. We're also pointing out something that does seem to be lacking, or maybe it's just the ones that we've focused on. Because the ones that I also chose, I had a whole list. Often it's the 90s figures didn't come with cool backpacks. They kind of just completely threw out the backpack to be able to do this launcher feature with all the figures. You know, obviously the weaponry is very cheap to produce, but then they kind of put the effort into making a couple of different launches, and it's like the launches became the focus more than, it's like the people didn't have to carry things anymore. They wanted to create another play feature rather than have, you know, put a lump of plastic on the back that does nothing, I suppose, at least, you know, their logic. It's crazy.
I also think the greatest buddy comedy, you know, to come out of GI Joe in the 90s, pardon all the super ads for meat, but it's Bazooka.
They're trying to tell you something.
They're trying to tell me meat's on special. I think Bazooka and Leatherneck would have been so cool. Specifically the 90s versions with Leatherneck's giraffe pants and Bazooka's kind of, you know, fishing accoutrement.
They do suit each other.
Right, they do. They're like a team. They're like a sub team. They're like fishing force or something. But how cool would it have been if they got like a fishing boat vehicle that was like actually like a GI Joe vehicle that was like disguised as some kind of trawler or whatever, cool. And then it had like flip out missiles or something.
Yes,
right. Yeah, that would have. Then it would have made sense because these are like our undercover dudes. I mean, these are our grumpy old men. You know, it's because they are kind of a little bit older than the rest of the force. And I just think it would have been like, that's kind of a missed opportunity. Like they should have been the vehicle drivers on some mad ass covert fishing trawler or something. I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity there. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm still going to get them. And, you know, the whole 90s weaponry thing is a double-edged sword because, you know, I can go and buy these toys online and for the most part not have to worry about getting their gear. I suppose the other side of it, to be fair, is some of these guys, their weapons trees came with some cool guns, you know, especially like throwbacks to guns that came out a while ago, like Stalker's gun and I can mention a few. I mean, there's Muskrat's, not Muskrat's weapon, but Bullhorn's gun. There's some great like weapons that are on those weapons trees. So I don't want to like poo-poo the guns too much. I just poo-poo the lack of imagination. You know, I think it just would have been so much more fun to just, I don't know, just have gotten those exclusive weapons. And now the rest of the world knows what we think. I'd love to hear what the rest of the world thinks in the comments, both our Bergforce comments and our YouTube comments. I'd love to hear, what is a 90s figure, or what kind of weapon set would you give to your favorite 90s figure? And maybe you've had a 90s figure and you've had tons of years to think about what it is that you wanted to improve on that toy. Let us know in the comments below. Totally want to hear your thoughts. I know that we only are focused on a few. There's way more. And
there's tons. There's absolutely tons.
There's tons.
I mean, some of them have just been completely ruined by.
This dinosaur's terrible. This is like a contemplative T-Rex. Like, am I going to eat you? I don't know.
Paul is scrolling through all the figures on 3D Joes at this point.
I can't help it now. I'm in the rabbit hole. I'm actually desperately just trying to find that Cobra Commander so that I can just have it as the last thing people see on this video feed, because that Cobra Commander is so cool. That said, yeah, I'm on a 90s kick because my 80s stuff is starting to get to a point where it's becoming more and more complete, and I'm also just seeing some of these amazing sculpts. Like, Cobra Commander.
The topic has been very enlightening. I mean, it does take you back to the 90s, where there are really cool sculpts. It's just often what holds them back is the fact that they don't come with anything cool. But then, as you said, it makes it easier to collect them because you're only getting the figure. As long as the figure is in good condition and say they have the helmet, then you're actually good to go. You can equip that figure with whatever you want and make him yours, your own. I mean, yeah, there's some really cool. I mean, I think even like a very understated one, which I think, yes, it doesn't look as good as the original, but still interesting, is Frostbite from '93. He doesn't look too bad. I mean, if you paint over his grenades on his chest or something, he looks a bit better. And he comes with like a really insane helmet. It's like a faceplate that makes him look like
Jason Voorhees.
Jason Voorhees. I'm like, oh.
And he comes with a machete. I mean, that was not an accident. Nobody did that by accident. Nobody was like, in Hasbro, somebody made sure that happened because they're a horror movie fan.
Maybe it was popular at the time. Yeah, like maybe Jason Goes to Space or something was coming out at the time, and they're like, we need a figure. I want one.
At this time, I think it was. It's probably around the time of Final Friday, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I think he's not too bad. I mean, thankfully the head sculpt I think is pretty accurate to ones that have come before. Obviously, they've kind of changed the color of his beard. He's got a brown beard now instead of a black beard. But otherwise, I mean, he's pretty decent, I think, for a 90s figure. He's not too over the top. Another cool one I thought was Heat Viper. Okay, he looks nothing like his original, but he fits in really well with the Firefly who came out at the same time.
Right, and he also
black and green kind of look.
Totally, and also that's also just a shame that he doesn't have gear. And in fact, actually, to our listeners, that second version of Heat Viper, the green and black one, is actually sitting on that local toy site that Rob and I were talking about early on in the episode, and I think it goes for a 250 rand or something. And I've been eyeing that. Yeah, I've been eyeing that, and looking at it on the website, I kept thinking there's got to be more to this guy. So I actually went onto yojo.com and onto 3D Joe's just to check what his gear was, and then that's actually what got me on this whole rabbit hole. I was like, surely there's more to this Heat Viper. Surely,
yeah, I mean, his missile launch isn't too bad. If you don't put the missile in it, it's reminiscent of the original Heat Viper, but it's still not right for him.
No. That particular missile launcher, the one that says Fang on it, which is a sort of a remold of the original, that came with one of the Star Brigade Joes. one of the Cobras. I got it molded in purple. I've actually got it melted to a GI Joe's arm from one of my early childhood customs. And that used to cause me so much sadness and anger, even in the 90s, because I was like lamenting the fact that I just didn't have a proper Heat Viper, on how much I missed my Heat Viper's weapons.
Missile? Could it still launch a missile, Paul, even with the melting to your fingers?
Oh shit! I actually have to check that. I can't remember. It's possible. It's possible it does.
Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
You melted the arm to the sort of the loop that the figure's forearm would go into. You didn't melt it to the base of the.
Yeah, so it should still work.
The spring should still be intact.
Interesting.
Any case, gents, I would love to play you a voice note on Postbox the Pit, but it seems Instagram fucker can't play voice notes that are like maybe a week old.
Say what?
Yeah.
Or did they just forget about them?
Well, I have infuriatingly been pressing the play button on this voice note for some time now. I listened to it once, and now I can't.
No.
It just won't work. Anyways, it comes from old buddy online, Hillbilly Harper. He was basically just thanking us for doing Cobra Clutch, and that one of his favorite characters is Mercer. So this has been a big deal for him. And you are welcome. Thank you, Hillbilly. Thank you for always having our back. I mean, he follows a lot of Joe podcasts and channels and stuff. I've known about this guy for a while. Paul, why are we watching your screen?
Because I was sharing some Cobra Commander stuff, and now I'm just alluding to barters like they're expensive on eBay, so I wanted to see.
Any hooch. Well, thank you, Hillbilly, for your support over the years, and you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the play motion.
Heck yeah.
And moving forward, gents. Oh, sorry, you go ahead, Rob.
Oh no, I was gonna say it's not directly Postbox the Pit, but GI Gary put me onto a really cool artwork this week by Skinny Joe Fan on Twitter of Scoop looking really awesome, kind of like hunkered down and doing some cool filming of some crazy action going on off panel. I imagine it's a fire or something because it's very bright on that edge of the image. Thanks for turning me on to that, Gary. It is really cool. I really do think it is fantastic.
And there you have it from our resident Scoop fan. And if I'm not mistaken, and just coming back to that Cobra Commander that I clearly can't shut up about, he does seem to come with Scoop's gun.
What?
Yeah.
Really? That's
have
cool.
Have a look. It's like the neon version of Scoop's.
I will have a listen.
I need you to confirm.
I think it might be Clean Sweep's pistol.
Which Cobra Commander?
It could even be Mercer's pistol. Yeah.
Version for 59. Which Cobra Commander?
69.
Star Brigade Cobra Commander.
Oh my goodness, 1994.
I love how like a lot of these Space Joes all have design cues from DJ. They all got this like.
It's Captain Gridiron's.
Oh, that's the gun. It's Captain Gridiron's
yes,
gun. Yeah.
It's close, but not quite the cigar.
Anywho, gents, I've been touched by a stroke of madness, and I have made a pact with myself that this week coming. Okay, tonight obviously being the exception because it's podcast night, but this week coming, I've been mourning the loss of my actual playtime with GI Joe. My time spent with GI Joe is now editing a podcast or working on a play motion. And that means that the actual playtime is missing. And until my son is old enough to join me on my adventures, I still got to do these solo. I have made a pact that I will endeavor to spend at least 30 minutes playing with my toys every single night.
Can we join in with you on that pact?
Yeah,
I would love to, but I also want to cut out mobile phones, the internet, and my laptop.
No, I think
no.
Playing with ourselves, you know.
Separately. Yes,
separately.
We can all play with ourselves separately,
and then every week,
but at the same time.
Every week we kind of check in with each other and see where our narratives are going.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can make a segment out of this, but for my own part, I felt like, damn it, Stephen, you collect these things, you gush about them, you talk about them on podcast, you film them in lush tropical environments or Chinese cityscapes, but you never really just get down into the dirt and, play.
Don't just touch them the way they need to be touched.
The way they deserve to be touched. I'm gonna touch them right. Yeah, like it might backfire, and I might be like, oh, I'm too old for this shit, or it might be like, yes, I'm finally reconnecting with the reason why I love these things in the first place. So starting from tomorrow night, I'm going to break out a couple of figures, vehicles, whatever, and start my personal little
Your
adventure.
new adventure. That's fantastic, dude.
Yep.
I think
It's
this
going
is
to
a
happen.
good thing.
And I'm not going to hold you to it because actually it is quite an ask. Like we're grown-ups and allegedly, and it might be thought of as strange for us to go to the bottom of the garden and take our plastic crack with us.
Do what you got to do. I think if it helps reconnect you to something inside yourself.
But for me, it doesn't feel like it's been that long ago. And certainly the play motion stuff has kept it alive, even though that is very driven and very purposeful. Like I have to get X number of shots in the can, otherwise this day has been a bust. Like it's under pressure. To just play without the pressure of a camera.
Cool,
I
man.
hope I can still recreate the magic. I hope I can still go with it. I hope I can still suspend my disbelief. But I do anticipate that my biggest problem will be that I'm doing it alone.
Yeah.
Damn it, fellas.
Yeah, well,
Why aren't we in Australia?
well, at least there's solidarity. At least you know that we're taking on the same pact, and that this week.
Are you?
Yes.
I think for this week,
I'm going to endeavor to do so. This actually ties in very nicely. Sorry, let me change my register there a bit. This ties in very nicely with
Who here is with me?
With somebody with something I was talking to a colleague about. She is an outstanding illustrator. In fact, our team, we are quite a skilled bunch of
illustrations in on time in future.
So no, we but we all are fairly skilled and all that. But lately, she's been having this sort of struggle with some of the graphics that we've been outputting, because she's sort of looking at them and I'm looking at them, and we're like, they could be better, and and we've been having these conversations. She's like, how can I make them better? And I said, like, here's the thing. There's the art direction side, and we went into the art direction. I'm not going to bore the podcast about this, but the other side of it is, I was like, when was the last time you drew for yourself? Do you keep a sketchbook? And she was like, no, she doesn't. Well, she's got one somewhere. She hasn't drawn it in ages. And I'm like, what's ages? Like a few weeks, a few months, what? And she's like, I haven't really sketched anything this year that wasn't for a client. I'm like, well, there's the problem. You're not drawing for yourself. You're not getting your expression out there on paper or whatever's, and that can be translated to what's happening here as well. If you are not taking that time to enjoy your toys, and everything that we do with our toys has a purpose, then we're not feeding our imaginations. We're not improving our, let's say, skill at playing with toys, because I mean that's how you get better at doing anything. You do more of it, and you do it more consciously. But that was the point I was trying to make, is that if she would start illustrating and start sketching, and maybe take 30 minutes a day just to sketch a little bit, even if it's bad, it doesn't have to be good. That's the mistake people make, because they think you have to do good art every day or whatever. Or you have to play with your toys well every day. It's like, no, you don't have to do that. You just have to do it, because that's where the happy accidents are. That's when you start going, oh, this looks really cool. Let me grab my camera quickly and take a photo of that. Or something, some kind of spark of inspiration comes in, or you could be like, oh, I didn't notice the sculpt on my character. This is cool. This is a whole new plot point that can come out of it. And wow, I really, really love Snow Job. What an amazing toy. Like,
I think Hans in the chat summarizes it perfectly by saying that I draw for me every day. The same way Steve wants to play for 30 minutes, I draw for 30 minutes. Just for me, no one else. You have to do it for you, otherwise you begin to wilt. I like that turn
Exactly.
of phrase. You do begin to wilt. You need to nourish your own plant.
Yeah, for sure. Keep your own garden
And with
going.
that, yeah.
No, for sure. I
Gents,
think
I'm
it's a
gonna
good
point my toes
sentiment.
towards the door because I think my kid is having a rather difficult night, and it's time that I
Oh, well, I
take
hope,
on
I
some of the
hope you.
burden. Well, we had a power cut. This is hilarious. I mean, after all the
Oh my goodness, you
power
feel like you're back in South Africa
quibbles.
again, hey?
Well, yes. Last week, SA was embattled with some power cuts. Tonight, we had a good 2-hour outage, and we wondered
Oh,
if the power was going to come back. I mean, let's talk about wilting. If you don't have the AC blasting at this time of year, or any time of year in North Queensland for that matter, it doesn't make for very restful sleep, particularly for a kid.
oh
So Elliot
no.
he got off to a bit of a bad night. So I'm going to do my daddy thing and give mom some relief. So,
Do it.
gents,
Do it.
it's always a pleasure. We will
Absolutely.
reconvene next week, and maybe we'll do a quick catch up on how the Robo Skull quick Kickstarter is going, and whether or not Paul has put in his bid yet.
Finally got one.
And well, you're gonna have to wait, I think, till probably 2023 before you actually see the toy. But yeah, feels good to get your end in. And yeah, it'd be interesting to check in with you guys next week as to whether or not you've played.
Heck yeah.
Anyone
Yeah,
who
and
wants
also-
to join us on this endeavor, feel free to tell us how it went. in the
Yeah,
comments
drop us
below.
an email if you like, or in the comments if you want to email us. real@gmail.com. Because email us, at least you can gush for hours, and we'll definitely read the whole thing, on air.
And we do.
So,
I just want to say a hearty shout out, give a hearty shout out to Cliff McCarthy as well. How's it, man? Thank you for that awesome
And
mail.
thank you to our patrons who make this possible. Keep the lights
Yes.
burning in GI Joburg. It helps more than I think anyone can possibly fathom. A couple of
Absolutely.
bucks a month, massive props. We'll keep doing what we're doing, free to everybody. But as I say, it helps in very material ways. We're able to put back into GI Joburg what it kind of takes out, effectively, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
Totally.
we look forward to actually giving back, I think.
We
Allows me to
can
put in
buy
money
toys.
towards shipping. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
exactly. I was about to say it. Like, it allows me to put in some shipping, money towards shipping, and to be able to get some toys in to talk about, to discuss, to be play motion actors. It's the reason we might have a Robo Skull.
Yeah. So Yo Joburg to the Berg Force.
Joe
Yeah,
to the
Joe
Berg
to
Force.
the Berg
Also,
Force.
guys, check it out if you haven't already checked it out. There's a channel called Saints on Cinema with a guy called Tim Wild. Stephen, Rob, and Alistair recently did a sort of childhood playtime discussion with him. I've recently recorded a chat about some 80s animated films.
Ooh.
In particular, we discussed the Transformers, or Transformers the movie in particular, as well as She-Ra and the Secret of the Sword, or He-Man and She-Ra, the Secret of the Sword, as well as GI Joe the movie. And we just had a fun conversation about it. Take from it what you want. It should be available soon. So if you are already a fan of Saints on Cinema, I'm sure you will be notified about it soon enough. If you haven't, go and check out his channel. He has some cool conversations and musings about lots of 80s things and comic books and all kinds of good stuff. So
Yep,
mostly
something
movie
to
stuff.
put on while you wait for another episode of GI
Of
Joburg.
GI Joburg, yeah, and just also thank you so much for the awesome support that you guys have shown GI Joburg and shown GI Joe as a brand. I mean, we've got so much cool stuff happening. A lot of stuff is happening because as fans, we are putting our money into the things that we want, and that's why we're getting cool stuff like Robo Skulls and Vietnam figures from Marauder and Action Force and all that good stuff. And occasionally, you're also buying some He-Man toys. I know you are. I am. And yeah, guys. And if you want to check out some merch or something, you can find it in the description below. And if you want to join our Berg Force and join that awesome wall of honor that we showed earlier, the link is also in the description below for the Patreon. So go and check that out. But yeah, always feel free to come and chat to us on Facebook. You can shoot us a mail. You can drop a comment. you can do a funny song on TikTok and then record it and send it to us because
Heck
I don't know, we're not on TikTok, but but as usual, we will see you in the next few days again, same time, same place. And I will also be doing a mystery unboxing after our next episode because I have some toys that need to be opened up in front of camera because it will be my birthday and I want to make a meal out of it. So yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Cool.
That was
All right.
220, guys. See you in 221.